Hello everybody and welcome back to Dana's Coloring Obsession. I am finally here with the color along for Hannah Carlson's Seasons. This is our full book community color along, and we decided to do this one for September. And I'm gonna start out with masking. Now first I want to say hello like I did, but I hope that you are well and that everything is going peachy keen for you and your family. We are going to do, since we haven't done it and I haven't worked with them for a really long time, I'm going to be doing some Distress ink background for this page. I am going to have with me my handy dandy drawing gum. Now, this you can buy on Amazon in an array of different companies, different colors, different everythings, but I've always bought this one. It lasts forever and I haven't really had any problems with it. So I have this. You just kind of shake it up and you don't have to use a ton. And then I did get Shell from Shell's Coloring Journey. She showed on her channel that she uses these silicone brushes. I think it was her. I'm sorry if it wasn't. My apologies. Several colorists actually use these, but I think it was Shell that I saw first that was doing it. Anyways, you use this with the drawing gum or masking fluid, and that way you don't ruin your regular paint brushes, because it will ruin your brushes. And this, it's easy. You just set it aside when you're done with it and let the excess dry on it, and then you can peel it right off and it's good as new. So I have one of these, and this again from Amazon. It doesn't have a brand on it. It was like a set of 5 with different shapes on it. I've shown this in a previous haul a while ago, Amazon. And then for the distressed ink, I use these brushes, which are common. They're just actually makeup brushes. They come in all different sizes. You can get a set of like 10. I think I did a second purchase of a set of like 10 of this one, because I feel like I use this size the most. But they come with tiny ones, but I feel like I don't have as much control, and they're a lot easier to make dark little spots on your page with them, at least for me. But anyways, so these are those thick, soft, bristled brushes that you can get on Amazon. And also for the masking tape thing, after everything's dry and you do your thing with your inks and everything, I have decided to try these out, and I did use them in one of my tester books to see how I would like it. And these are an adhesive eraser. That's what they're called on Amazon, and they come in a pack of 2. And then after a while, you can see that there's residue there. I got most of it off, but I guess you just clip off the parts that, and eventually it just goes to nothing. Anyways, you use it, and you just have to barely push on I'll show you when we're doing it, but it helps prevent any smudging or anything if the ink's still wet. This is going to really come in handy when you're using the oil pastels, because they get everywhere and they're such a messy product. And I found that when I was getting the masking tape off, I smudged into my part that I didn't want any product, any oil pastel on. It was a mess. Anyways, this is going to help eliminate that situation, I'm hoping. And I am using these 4 colors for the background in the Distress inks. These are my little minis that I got here recently in a haul. And I got Wild Honey here, Rusty Hinge, Aged Mahogany, and Vintage Photo. So these are the 4 I'm going to be using for our background. And again, I did tell you guys before, but I am going to choose a palette here for our autumnal page. It's the number 231 in the Sarah Renee Clark color cubes. Here is the range of colors that I have at my disposal that I'm going to try to use. Now, if for some reason I want a different color, I'm not going to limit myself if I really want to change it up or add something to it. It's my page. I've told myself, you know, I do want to try to stay true to it, but if I need to, I feel, you know, I will add something and not feel bad about it, is what I'm trying to say. But this is the one that I'm going to focus on anyways. So there you go. Okay, so I'm going to start with the drawing gum. It's kind of gross and smelly, honestly. But it's really thin. A lot of people dump it out into a tiny little bowl or something, and I just stick my silicone brush into the bin. I don't know if I shouldn't do that or not, but I do. It's not like I'm going to get ink in there. Anyways, oh man, it smells. It's really kind of potent. Maybe that's why they put a little bit in a bowl or something. Anyways, I am going to first go ahead and start doing this. I'm going to do the entirety of the part that I want masked off. I will show you in a fast forward motion some of it, but I don't think I need to show you everything. That's going to just make the video longer, and it's not really necessary, I don't think. You can choose what you want to mask off and what you don't want to mask off. I am going to try to make this look like glass, so we will be using the inks inside here, me personally. So I'm not going to be masking off the dome here, just the stuff inside of it. So here we go. You guys, as you can see, I've got it all masked off. Now, a couple things to remember is tags, I don't know, you don't have to wait hours. In fact, you shouldn't. The longer it sits on here, evidently the longer it might be harder to get off. Now, I like this drawing gum specifically because it's bright blue, and I can tell where I've, sorry for the barking dog, where I've put it, so that hopefully it prevents me from missing big spots. And anyway, you know, you get it. But let's see. So I use quite a bit. A lot of people probably don't use as much as I do, but I always find that it's easier for me to not make a mess of my page if I use more, ensuring that I've covered the whole surface. And careful not to go back over a spot that you've already gone on, because you can start peeling it up a little bit with your brush. And you'll see it happening because it starts to dry fairly quickly. And here is the silicone brush. It does have some on it. I don't know if you can see that. And all I do is pull it off and roll it up on my hand like that. See the little piece? And then throw it away, and the brush is clean. So, like magic. So these silicone brushes are definitely the way to go. Okay, so I've got everything here. It's pretty well dry. I might wait just a minute or two. Now, one other thing I want to say is, because I use quite a bit, and you probably saw that as I was doing the berries especially, it might warp your paper a little bit, crinkly, so that it starts to get crinkly. If that's not a good idea for you, then you might want to consider using less. But it doesn't bother me, so that's just a tip that I've found happens. But yeah, I think we're dry. Now it does dry a little tacky, so don't be letting it dry until you try to feel non-tackiness, because it's just going to be tacky. At least the drawing gum that I have anyways. But yeah, so I guess we shall zoom out just a tad bit, because I'm going to be doing the background with those distressed inks. So give me 1 second. Okay, here we are. All right, so also a good thing to note is when you do go over the areas that have the drawing gum or masking fluid on it, to not push real hard and rub, because it's a possibility that you'll pull it up. So just be very gentle when applying your ink on top of the areas where the drawing gum is, because I've had that happen before as well. Okay, so I have 2 brushes here, and I do this often. You don't have to. You can use one brush for one color, whatever you think is easiest for you. If you use those little finger sponges or different applicators, you can use all kinds of things with these distressed inks. But because I'm going to go to lightest to darkest, using my one brush with the wild honey and the rust, and then the other brush will be used for the aged mahogany and the vintage photo. And what I do is I have another piece of paper here taped to the other side that I'm just going to kind of clean my brush off a little bit and then keep going. So that might not be your cup of tea. To each their own. You do it how you think it should be done. So I'm about to get my fingers all messy, because I am incapable of not being messy with this. So let me get my sleeves up here, because I will be getting it all over the place. Okay. All right, so let me take my wild honey first, which is my yellowish tint color. Let me put that here so you know which one I'm using. And I just load up my brush really well. And I know that a lot of people say you should, and sometimes I do, but a lot of times I don't pad off on my scratch paper, because it bothers me to waste that ink, because there's quite a bit on there, you know. But so I just push extremely light, and I still have a problem every once in a while. So it's up to you, because by no means am I an expert at this at all, just so you're aware. And I'm just going to kind of do basically the center of my page in yellow, and then we'll go with the other colors. I don't know. I'm winging it, which isn't often what I do. So let me push very lightly, like barely putting the bristles on the page. And see, it doesn't do the splotchiness. Just don't push too hard. And it starts to put the color to the page. And I'm just going to kind of go in circular motions very lightly onto the page. Oop, and keep on going. See, already got myself. And if I notice that I've gotten myself, I always stamp it off of my finger because I don't want to get it everywhere on pieces of the page that I don't want ink and all that. But remember, super light because we don't want big splotches. Now, as far as tutorials go, there are wonderful tutorials out there with people who actually know what they're doing with the distressed inks and such. Jordy Colors has a wonderful little tutorial on some of her backgrounds the gorgeous backgrounds that she has done in some Hannah Carlson books, or I think it's Summer Nights, that she's done a lot of different backgrounds in that are absolutely gorgeous. So that's somebody who, if you're wanting more information before you jump into the distressed inks, that's a good one to go look at. There's a whole bunch of them out there. But be careful. See, I'm got to be careful not to lift up that drawing gum. Now I'm going to stop jabbering, and so we can speed this up for you guys. Okay, now that was the wild honey. Sorry, I'm getting it all over my fingers. Close that back up. And I don't know if you've seen, but I went a little darker on the bottom here of the foliage and the berries and everything. And a little darker here. I did make an oops and did do a little deeper of a splotch right there. Is what it is. Can't really fix that one unless I go super dark with everything else. So, okay, that's closed. Let me rub a little bit off here. Honestly, maybe I am going to use the smaller brush for all three of these other colors because I'll be able to go in smaller sections with it. Okay. All right, so, and again, I am not an expert at this, and hopefully it comes out all right, but we'll see. Sorry, had to take a drink. All right, I am going to grab my rust hinge and my little mini pad here. Ugh. Oh, I don't know if that helps or not, but I'm going to leave it there. And load my brush. Okay. Get it off my finger. Okay, and now, here we go. I'm going to start light in the areas that I'm putting it, just in case I don't really care for where it's at, or I'm just kind of mapping out where I want things here. And it might stay light because I am doing a lot of really dark colors and I don't necessarily want it to be, I'm scared to tell the truth. Like I said, I'm not a big distressed inker, if that's even a thing. So we'll see how this goes. And I think my pad is just not very pigmented, maybe. Oh, look at my fingers. Okay. Because it's really not, oh, see, this corner just likes to be dotted, I think. It's fine. It's fine. Gotta trust the process, right? We'll see. Trust that process. Okay. And I might go back in with some colors after, depending on how saturated everything is. But you keep brushing and you can oftentimes blend things a little bit better sometimes. Okay, now this next color is a little scary for me because it's pretty dark. Okay. And it is the aged mahogany. Oh my, look at my fingers. Yeah, I can't get it open. There we go. Okay. Here we go. Now I kind of want to load up my brush. Now I believe that this one was a little bit pretty pigmented. This ink pad itself. So I want to be careful when I first pat it down. See, it's okay. Now see, I think I lifted the drawing gum a little bit. It's okay, I think I can fix it with my pencils. That'll might happen to you. Might happen. Okay. But see, I think I'm gonna blend these a little more with the rust. And I think it'll look better with the dark brown coming in. It'll be fine, hopefully. Now I'm doing this randomly. I don't have a plan, which might be to my detriment in some instances. But we'll see how this goes. Okay, sorry if there's a strange cut there. I had to help a family member do something. Anyway, okay, so I've got my small brush now. I just finished doing the aged mahogany. Well, I say finished, but I might go back with all of the colors. I don't know, except for the yellow. The wild honey, I don't think I need to do that. Okay, so I've got the vintage photo now. I just got some on my hand again. I already rubbed off some excess. Again, you don't have to do the way I do it. You can use a different brush for each color. Up to you. This might drive you nuts, and I apologize if it does. But the good news is you don't have to deal with that, right? Okay, so I think this one's pretty inky too. Oops. So we're, again, using the vintage photo. And I am going to, ooh, I'm scared. Okay. I'm just going to start over here. Get these out of the way. Move this down a little bit to make sure you guys can see. Touch really super lightly and go to town. Okay. Sorry if you can hear squeaking. I'm like rocking and rolling everything, including my chair. So my chair squeaks. It's old. I probably should get a new chair because that would probably help my neck and my back as well. But yeah, right? Okay. Getting more on my brush, getting the ink off my fingers. And I'm going to come back down here a little more. Okay. Okay, I'm going to move the book around a little bit. Sorry, you guys. I'm going to make sure I don't make a big mess here. I think I'm going to really put a lot more rust on the page. I think I'm lacking there. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go back in with the rust hinge, rust hinge. Really load my brush because this pad for me is not very juicy. Okay. So this essentially is kind of like our first round here. Okay. There we go. See, a little better. Okay, and then we're gonna go in. Excuse me. Here. Maybe just a little bit there too. Okay. And tiny bit through here. Hopefully this is coming across how it actually looks for you guys. We'll see. Okay. And now I'm going to go back in with the mahogany, which is scary, but doing it. And then I'm going to go back with the vintage photo. Sorry, I stopped showing you which color I was doing. Okay. Now this one's super pigmented. Pad my brush up here. Oh, you know what? Oh, we're doing good. I haven't checked the back yet, which isn't the best idea not to do. Okay, here we go. Oh dear, I had a hair there. Now I'm making spots on my... Great. It's okay, whatever. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see the little mix of color I got on my page, which, like I said, I am not real versed in this, so sorry for the shaking. Okay. And I don't have, since I just got these inks, I don't have any of the refillable stuff to make these more pigmented either, as far as these ink pads go. All right, I need to make these a little darker. There we go. I'm pushing a little harder now to get some of this brown to come through because it's just not wanting to. There we go. And I'm going into the other colors a little bit just so that with some wide circle motions so that I can blend them easier. Okay. Like I said before, I have not mastered these inks, and when I'm looking at my recording right now, it looks like a muddled mess on the screen and it doesn't look as quite as bad for me. Okay, let me go wash my hands because I am going to get this everywhere if I don't. Okay, now for taking off the masking fluid, again, I'm going to use this eraser, and let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, and I'm just going to use the very tip of it, and this is an adhesive eraser you can get from Amazon. And with the very tip, I'm going to pull up that drawing gum like that, and you hold down the page, and voila. There's one piece. Okay, so here is the finished without the gunk on it. Not finished, I shouldn't say. There are a few spots that are oopses, but I can go in with like a pencil and match, you know, and try to, anyway. And I did get some ink on a certain spots, but it's okay. I think I can fix it. as I go when I'm coloring with my pencils. Now, this doesn't look perfect how I wanted it to look, and these little blotches here are really annoying to me. But I am at the end of our page going to go in with some splatter of, I think, gold watercolor. And I'm hoping that will take away enough from the little oopsies. So I am going to go, I think the pencil set that I'm going to use is the new one that I haven't hauled yet for you guys. It's my set of Derwent Chromaflows. I'll take them out of the... I swatched them here. There's 150. And I haven't really used them a lot yet. I've started using them on a page from Matchstick Mouse Floral. But that is it. And I don't necessarily love them on Amazon paper. So we'll see how they perform in my Anna Carlson. I'm going to start with the berries. And they're going to be the eggplant colors. Now this is really dark, so I might go a little bit to the lighter side of things here, but still start with a deep purple. I'm going to grab 3 different colors here. We're going to go with... Okay, I am going to go with these 3 colors. I've chosen... let's see here. We've got mauve, which is the 0990, deep rose, which is the 0945, and the magenta, which is 0900. Okay. And let's see here. I'm going to start with this bad boy here, with my darkest color, the mauve. And I'm just going to go on the outside edge here. Lightly. It's a very dark color. All right, I already really like these on this paper. Yay! I'm so excited. Now this is just my first layer here, you guys. Okay, and then I'm going to go in with my middle color, which is the deep rose. Okay, and then the lightest color, which is the magenta. Sorry for hitting the mic. Okay, that's my first layer. Let me go back in with the mauve. Okay. That is definitely the deep vibrance I was going for. If you can see that. So the bunches are going to be all these three same colors. I don't know about the singles here. They almost look like a different berry, but they're on the same plant. Haven't decided yet, but go ahead and do those bunches just like I showed you. Okay, so now that you've done all the bunches with me, I am going to go in and all these single berries, since they're on the same plant, and I don't want to do too much variation with this, I am going to go in and with the same three colors and do all the single berries. Okay, now that we have all of the berries done, we are going to be using, again with the Derwent Chromaflows, for the leaves, we will be using, I should probably put them in order, huh? Okay, we will be using Obsidian Green 1540, Light Olive 1802, Olivine or Olivine 1801, and Foliage 1700. And we're going to be, so these are going to be all of our leaf colors. And as I always do, I'm going to go in with the darkest color. I'm just going to color in the center here lightly. Next color. Next color. And the lightest color, which is Foliage. So that's the first layer there. All right. So we're going with Obsidian Green. Again. Then the Light Olive. And the Olivine. And then the Foliage. Okay, so they're moody, it's a moody, dusty green leaves to fit the fall palette. Okay. And then we'll just be using the two darkest colors for the stems of any of them. Using the Obsidian on the outside and the Light Olive on the inside. Like that. Okay, and then we are going to you know what? On the smaller petals that are coming off of the berries here, see the tiny ones? And here, underneath the bunches of berries, I'm going to use the two lightest colors, which are olivine and foliage on these, and I'm just going to color the base like this. And then the rest of it here. Okay. And then these bigger leaves here, we'll do kind of the same as we did up here. We're taking the obsidian in the center and then lightly fading it out here. And then the light olive. Oh, breaking pencil tips here. Like that. And then we'll take the olivine, blend all that in. And then the very tips there are going to be the foliage. Sorry if I'm shaking the camera, trying not to. I think I'm going to blend a little bit more with the olivine so that there's not such a line there. And then I am going to go back in with the darker colors. So that is going to be the way we do our stems, our big leaves, our medium leaves, and the tiny ones. I'm going to go through and get all these leaves done, and we'll be right back together. Okay, now that we've got all those leaves done, down here, these little squiggly doodads are going to have all 4 colors on them. Starting with the darkest, which is the obsidian green. And I'm just going to go across the bottom here of each one. I'll do a few for you guys to show you what I'm doing. Next color, which is the light olive. Okay, and then the next one, which is the olivine. And then the last one, which is the lightest color, the foil foliage at the very top of them. Like that. And I'm just gonna go all the way across, just like that. I have all my little color palettes here for each little thing that I'm doing here. So since my Chromaflows are new to me, I forgot to say this earlier. For the leaves and the 2 mushroom types, I did follow Karen from My Colorful Country Life. She's recently done several videos on color combinations for the Chromaflows, and like I said, they're new to me, so I grabbed a couple of her color combinations for the Chromaflows, again for the leaves, and then the 2 different kinds of mushrooms. So thank you, Karen. If you guys want to see a whole bunch of different videos on color combinations with different types of pencils and everything, go see her channel. She's even got a website that she's putting together to be really helpful for people and she does wonderful stuff, so go check her out. Okay, so I am gonna do the little stubby mushrooms with the little white specks on them. So we're gonna do one together, and then I'm gonna go off and finish the rest, so that this tutorial, or not tutorial, but color along is not a bazillion hours long for you guys. We have 4 pencils combo here. We have, of course I don't have them in order. There we go. All right, so I've got Redwood starting from the top. You can't really see. I don't think it's focusing. I'll just say them. Redwood 1920, Cardinal Red 0450, Carrot 0440, and Melon 0410. So that's the color combination I'm going to be using. And I'm starting with my darkest color, which is the Redwood. And I'm just small circles, medium pressure, just kind of mapping out my colors here. And the next one is the Cardinal Red. And then I have the Carrot. And then the Melon on the very top here. Okay, and so that is the combination, but now we're going to go back and actually deepen up the colors and blend them better and everything. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and go in on the stalk here with the Carrot. Actually, that's not quite as dark as I want it to be, so let's go back and get the Cardinal Red just underneath here. Okay, and then go in with the carrot. And then the melon for the rest of the stalk. Kind of blend that in there. Okay. And so let's go back in and deepen up these colors. This is the redwood again. Okay, and then the cardinal red. Sorry, my chair is making noises. And then carrot. And the melon. Okay, between the cardinal red and I'm gonna grab the carrot again and try to get this blended a little better so there's no line there. There. Okay, so there is our little fat mushrooms. I'm gonna do the other three and be right back. Next, we are going to do the blooming. I say blooming because that's what they look like they're doing to me. These three mushrooms here. The combination I have for those, again, that's Karen's from Karen's, or My Colorful Country Life. The combination that she has, there's 4 again. And it's gonna be, sorry, I have from darkest to lightest, so the bottom, Willow 2003, Spice 1910, Brown Sugar 1860, and then Dijon 1850. Okay, so that's what the colors are going to be for these guys. Starting with my darkest color. And I'm just kind of using what Hannah put, the dots that Hannah put down for some of the darker shading for these guys, at least on the top here. Oh, always, I'm really not pushing that hard. Anyway. So the lip of the bloom from the mushroom, right underneath that is where I'm using the willow. And anywhere where it's going to be shadow, so kind of this part's going to be in shadow, I feel like. And down here, it's going to be darker. Okay. Okay. All right, and then I'm going to use the spice. Coming out away from the willow. Okay. And then the brown sugar. Okay. And then the last one, which is the lightest color, the Dijon. Now I'm not pushing hard yet, you guys. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back in with my darkest color, which is the willow. Deepen that up. And then the spice. And then, oops, come down here too. And the brown sugar. And then the Dijon. Okay, and that is how these two are going to look as well. So now the last thing that we're going to do is gold. And this combination I found off of Pinterest. I'm not sure who the person was that had the color combination, but it goes like this. So charcoal gray 2210, bourbon 2001, golden sun 0300, and sunflower 0110. Okay. And I'm going to start with my darkest, of course, and we're going to start on this line here. Okay. Not used to going this dark on the darker end of things for gold, so I'm a little nervous about this. But it looked good on Pinterest. I guess it does matter who's doing the coloring too, huh? Okay, and then golden sun. And then the lightest being sunflower. Got a hair there. Okay. Might go a little bit longer with the browns and golds. Okay, underneath the lip of these, I'm gonna be with brown. Sorry, the bourbon. Okay, and then coming down the brown on these teardrops from the point there. Like that. And then I'm going to take the golden sun and then the sunflower. Okay, and then I'm going to take the charcoal gray and very small amount right here between the little dewdrop there. Okay, just going to show you those and then I'll get the rest of it done. The bourbon. And then the golden sun. going to go back in and blend a little more with the bourbon, so there's not that hard line there. Whoop. Let me do that. I'm going to go sharpen this. Going back in with the Golden Sun. Okay, so just like that, all the way across. Okay, and I'm going to take the sunflower, and these little tiny dewdrops are going to be that color. Okay, and then I'm going to take the bourbon and very lightly I'm going to go on the outside of these wings things here and the inside. Okay, and then the same with the Golden Sun. And then I'm going to take the sunflower in the very center of it, like that. Oh God. Okay, so I was almost off camera there. Here, the bourbon, then the Golden Sun, I'm just blending more, and then in the middle, that sunflower. Okay, and I'm going to do that on every single one of these little winged things. Okay, now that that is done, these little dots, I probably should zoom in just a little bit more. I apologize if my voice cracks or anything. I have a little bit of a cold and it's not bad. It's just my throat's sore, so I might be taking little breaks for a drink here and there. But let's see, sunflower. I'm going to take sunflower, and the tiny itty bitty dots in between are all going to be the sunflower color on the bottom. The bourbon. Right at the base there of each of these. Then I'm going to take the Golden Sun and blend that down a little bit. Like so. And then we're going to take the sunflower and finish them off. All right, so I'm going to use the charcoal gray. Just in the little crannies here. And down here. Okay. And then the bourbon. And then the Golden Sun. Going back to the bourbon a little bit, just to blend a little better in spots. Okay. Go back to the Golden Sun. And I've created a line here pretty severely, so I'm going to fix that. As per usual. Oh, Dana, I have too heavy of a hand. But a lot of times I can fix it, so that's good. Okay, a little bit more here. And then our sunflower. Go back to my Golden Sun. There's a spot here, and I need to blend better. Okay. Now, so the two little rings here and this one down here are all going to be like this long straight thing here, darkest to lightest. So dark, medium, light, light, medium, dark, if that makes sense. In these here, I'll point with a pencil, these little rings right here. Okay. Okay, I'm going to take the bourbon and go very slightly down the edge and through the center here of these two triangles. And then the Golden Sun. Right next to it, blending. And in the very center, the sunflower. Oh, every time. Jeez. I really try not to push hard. Okay. All right, and now I think I am gonna, these little dots here are a design. I think I'm just gonna make those really dark. Like, we're gonna go with the charcoal gray. Down here. And the I'm sorry if I blew in the mic then. That was rude of me. The bourbon. And then the golden sun at the very edge there. I'm really not pushing very hard. Maybe I sharpened them too much. They had too fine and long of a point. Okay. And now I am going to use the bourbon, which is not broken yet, one of the few here. And I'm just going to color this in. Okay, and we're going to go on these long parts here with the bourbon. And here on the teardrops. Okay, and then we're going to take the golden sun. I'm going to have to go back with the bourbon, I'm sure. Yep. Don't worry, you guys, that line will be gone. Or at least mostly. You think I would learn after a few years of doing this that you're not supposed to make a line there. It's supposed to fade it out. And the sunflower. Okay, I'm going to take the bourbon. I'm going to take the sunflower and fill in these little dudes. Then I'm going to take the golden sun And then the sunflower. Okay, and then the bourbon. Can you see? You can. Actually, I'm gonna erase that. Okay, and then the golden sun. And the sunflower on the very tip of these. Okay, and then I'll take the bourbon and go on the outside edge of these horizontally. And then the sunflower, or sorry, golden sun. And then the sunflower in the middle. Okay. Perfect. And then the base, the top of the base here, kind of on a diagonal here. I'm just very lightly touching it here in slow circles. Okay, that was the bourbon. And then we'll go in with golden sun. Again, this is light, and I know there's a line, and I'm not blending yet, so don't worry. When I'm not sure of something, I will do this so I can erase it and try again if I don't like it. This is the sunflower. Okay. going to take the charcoal gray and very lightly go underneath here. And then use the bourbon to buff that out. Okay, it's starting to come together a little bit. Looking better. Was a little worried there for a second. Okay, and then the sunflower at the end here. Okay, perfect. And now we're gonna go, can't forget up here. Actually, I'm gonna move the camera. Okay, gonna start with the little teardrops here with the bourbon. And then the golden sun. And then the sunflower. And go back to the bourbon. This triangle in the center here. So, golden sun. And then sunflower. Okay, and then we're gonna go with the charcoal black, or gray, sorry, and just the tip there. And there. And then the bourbon over it. And then the golden sun. And then in that white little area, the sunflower. Okay, and then we're gonna go with the charcoal gray again. Down here, just a little bit, not much. A little bit goes a long way with this color. And then the bourbon. And then the golden sun. And the sunflower. Okay. And then we'll take the bourbon. Actually, no, sorry. We're going to take the charcoal gray. Then the bourbon. Then the golden sun. A little bit more bourbon. Trying to blend a little bit better there. And a little more golden sun. And then the sunflower. Okay. All right, now I'm just going to take the bourbon. And then the sun, the golden sun. And then I'm going to take the sunflower and do those. And I'm going to take the bourbon again. And then the golden sun. Bourbon again. And the sunflower. Okay, and then I think we're going to go dark again with these. And the bourbon. Okay, and that is our gold done. Now let me move these pencils around so I can get them out of my way, and we will go with the first we'll do the back, finish the background up, and then we will do the embellishments on the glass and everything, and then we'll be done. All right, so what I've got here is just a piece of tissue paper. I real quick traced and cut out with just a little pair of precision scissors, just so that we don't get any flecks on the middle there. And I'm going to take just a cheap little palette here, and I decided I did tell you we were going to do golds, but I think white will be better because I want to do embellishments with white, and it'll go better together, I think. So I just have apple barrel. Shake it up because I haven't used it for a bit. And I'm going to put a dab in one of the little pans here, just a little bit. And then I'm going to grab my little handy dandy thing that I'm going to show you in the mashup on Monday. I bought some of these little water bottle things. Christina from Christina's Art Corner has had this forever. Well, I don't know if it's the exact ones, but she got them from Amazon, and this one came in a package of, I don't know, 12 or something like that. And it's just real easy to put water in your watercolors and stuff without splashing everywhere, because that's what happens with my spray bottle. Anyways, so I have some paint here. I have my little cheap paintbrush. Just gonna squeeze a little bit of water out, not a lot of it, but a little bit, and stir it up so that it's thinner, so it's easy for me to flick. Tiny bit more. I think that'll be enough. Stir it up. Okay, loaded paintbrush. Gonna stand up and move my mic. So you probably won't hear me talking, but I'm gonna flick with my finger and you'll see it. So I don't want it to do a big blob. Let me get a little bit off so it doesn't just drip a huge blob. Okay, just a second. And I need to cover up the other page. Hold on. I want some big blobs, but not too big. Okay. Now I'm going to clean up my hands and then let that dry for a little bit. Oh, I think I got more on everything else than I did on the page. Oops. It'll come off. I got it on my color cube. Oh no. It's coming right off. Okay. Let me take this off. Boop. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to take my handy dandy tried and true Tooliart acrylic paint pen. Shake it up. And prime it up, make sure it's working good. And we're going to go on the glass. Okay, friends, that is going to do it for this color along. Yay! Not bad. Sorry it took so long. Dry, baby, dry. And I said so in the last video, but for October we will be doing the kitty cat. And I will jump on that, excuse me, probably at the beginning of next week. Or maybe this weekend. It depends on what's going on and how I'm feeling. But we'll get started on this soon. So if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope you have a great rest of your day and a fabulous weekend. And I will see you in the next video.